Okay, welcome to Beau Hannam Guitars, Ukuleles. Today I thought I would show you how I carve a traditional heel. So a Martin Collins heel, which is way different to my normal heels, which are kind of straight down from the sides. But, so these are a bit different. So all you have to do is mark a center line, and under here you can see the fingerboard line, how wide the fingerboard is at the body joint, and then you have to mark an accurate then you have to figure out how wide you want the heel cap and then mark that there and join these 2 points. And a nice way to do that is to use a French curve. So once you've done all that, then just get a file. I'll mark the center line of the neck here, and then you just want to put a rough very rough indication of the neck profile. So this, I'll show you a close up. Come off. You can see that this line is the one that I want. And so I'm well away from the outside line. So clamp this down tight, and I need a bit more angle. So I just sharpened my 1-inch chisel, and with a mallet, what we're going to do, actually, another thing we have to do is to draw the heel cap. I'm looking for a fairly pointy one, so a bit okay, so the angle of the heel wood, the grain angle of the this heel is about, well, I'll just show you. see those grain lines there. So we have to definitely take that into account, because I can only take a full width cut here, but if I do it here, it could completely break out that way. So that is about the only thing you've got to be mindful of. Just light taps. So from here I'm going to just come in more, instead of like this. So I'm just assured that I'm not going to be cracking the wood anywhere. And you have to do this before you, or you don't have to, but I mean, it's just makes every type of sense to do this before you set the neck. Otherwise you've got to be setting all this extra wood instead of just this. So that's how it stands at the moment. I might try and set up a different angle here. This next part needs to be clearly shown. I'm going to have to put the microphone down there. But now you just want to follow this line. There's actually a line that I drew first, but disregard that. It's this line here, the outside line. So just take small cuts. There's clamp handles in the way. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to change it up. Making a vise. nice. Okay. So now we're just going to slowly take it up to the line. And if you go a little bit past, it doesn't matter, but just try and stick to it. And then leave this last little bit, about that much. So that's about it. Another thing you can do, just with a bit of 80 or 120 grit sandpaper, just come in and try and make that a bit more even. At the moment it's not. You might be able to see the facets there. You can see it's a little uneven, but that's, just completely normal. So you just want a smooth transition. And this is just a short little block. And that's fine now. Because remember, we're going to be cutting this away too, so I just want this area to be nice. Something else that I do, just because I think it's a good thing to do. I can't show you this. So this is CA glue on a little bit of, actually I'll just do it straight on. So just on the end, or the edge. This is just going to strengthen this edge because we still have to come in and set the neck. And this kind of stops or minimizes end-grain blowout when you're using the chisel and sandpaper and all that when you're setting the neck. So that's how I do this first part of this type of neck. And you can see that's not exactly at a right angle. It doesn't matter if it's this way or a little bit this way, just as long as it's vaguely flat. Because again, it's going to get all pared down. But that's the first facet which I do, and you can see that it's pretty much one facet. It comes out a little bit here, but that doesn't matter. So I'm just going to do the next one, and then I'll show you the next part. Okay, so second part of carving this heel. I'm trying to get the light so you can see. So I just cut that first plane and then cut that. Now I just wanted to come from the body joint around to the center line with a curved file. And you can either use sorry, I'm suffering from allergies today. NCA glue. This heel block was glued on, so it actually is easier to carve a heel when you've got a glued on heel block, because you've got a glue line which will show up symmetrically. So that's going to help. Can't really do much more until I glue the heel cap on, and I've got to have this dry before I do that. And that will be there. I will just reshape or shape it a little bit while we're waiting. So I'm just using facets again. And there's a line here which you won't be able to see, but that's what I'm working to. So the facet is in relation to the center line, or at least this edge is in relation to the center line. So you can see I'm nowhere near being even. Far thicker here than there, so just take this down. And if it gets too tricky, I'm just using the flat surface of the plane at the moment, or the file, rasp, whatever the hell it is. So that's pretty even enough for now. If you can see, that in relation to the center line. It's not perfect, but I'll just make it so for you. That's a bit better. So the next facet will be, well, this one isn't actually finished yet because I haven't gone down to the line, but so I'll show you. So this is where I'm going to go to. I'm going to go right up to it because I want the heel cap to be on before I do that. But this is close enough. facet is close to the line. The next facet, which I'll do after I do the heel cap, will be to take this little point off and establish the point that goes along this center line here, and then I'll lastly take this little facet off, and then that will create that curve really nicely and perfectly. So, you know, many facets create a circle eventually. So what we're doing is this. I'll show you. I'll draw it. First facet, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and you get the point. So just using straight lines, this is a nice curve, and if that was wood, you just use 220 to cut these little points out. And when you do each side symmetrically, so to say this is a neck profile, and here's the center line. Just realized my mic. Here's the neck profile, center line, and fingerboard. First facet. Second facet. Actually, the first facet wasn't quite tight enough. First facet. So that's all that gone now. And second facet, that's that gone. And then third facet. So just with 3 facets each side, you've got a really nice curve, which is really easy to, you can either shoe shine sand it, so you've got sandpaper and you do that and it just automatically sands it, or you just hand sand it just with a block, and it just gets rid of these tiny little areas. But whatever your neck is, so it's 1 3/4 at the nut end. Well, let's use a classical guitar. It's 52 mil at the nut, and then 62 mil at the 12th fret. And you just put the center line in, and then you can just, if you've got a drawing or something, you can just figure out how much you've got to take off. So like the first facet will be here, and then the second one will be here, third one there, then maybe just a quick little one there, and suddenly you've got your desired curve. No matter if it's a full baseball bat C shape or a kind of more typical D shape for a classical. So in this case, pretend that goes up to the top. We just have 1, 2, tight one there. And that's how we were taught at Gillet Guitars, and that's how we taught students at Gillet Guitars. After a while, you don't need to do this, but it is a good way to learn, because you just learn how to do it perfectly. And your necks will be symmetrical and not feel lumpy and all that. But that's, you know, I wasn't going to get into that, but that's neck carving. But the heel shape is the same. So just so you're looking down on the heel. So it's a block, and you want this shape, heel cap. Then you just do what I did, which was on this side. Just take the first facet, second, third, easy peasy. But then you have to follow so this is the heel cap, and this is the neck. That first facet, you take down all the way, which is the first kind of filing that I did then. And then I scooped out around here. You can do this part first, doesn't matter. And then you've got this facet to trim off. This won't make sense, I don't think, but and then to establish this point, you take off this little corner. I think that's all I can show you on paper. The next video will be the rest. Okay, the facet to establish the point. Demonstration purposes, I'm trying to keep it all flat like a real facet. Okay, so see that is first facet, second facet, and then I'll just leave this last facet. Oh, there's a good shot of the 3 facets. Well, actually that's just 2, and then the third and last one will we'll just take this around, but I won't do that because that's getting close to here, and I just want the heel cap to be on before I do all that. But what I'll do, I'll glue the heel cap on, I'll do the other side like this, and then I usually finish it off by having it clamped down here. So I'm looking at it, looking down at it like that, and it just makes it really easy to see how everything's flowing. You can really, you know, feel it. Just feel it like that. and then I'll show you some tricks with the glue line. Hello and welcome back. So this is where I am, and that is looking down the guts of it. So I just want to show you how to fine tune the last bit. So I've used the rasp to get to where I am now. And get rid of this part. Not touching the middle, the center line, which is here. Or rather, no, it's about there. So these little Japanese razor files are good for the last bit. This is the curved one, this is the flat one. Probably do a bit of the flat. So the edges, they're kind of coming straight out at a right angle from the cheeks here. So you don't want to touch the very end. You just want to start to refine. Keep your thumb here, so if you're filing and it slips up, you're going to graze in here, which is annoying. And these leave a really nice surface, which still has to be cleaned up, but a lot less than this rasp. So later on in another video I'll do a neck carving thing, but this is just the heel. So this will get kind of blended into here more later on. The only thing you should have kind of reasonably set at this stage is the depth here, or how thick it is. And wood being wood, you've got to figure out which direction is best to file and sand and all that sort of thing. This is the hard transition to get right. But I did mention last time that you can use like a glued on heel has the glue joint. Can you see that glue joint here? Once I clean this up, it'll be much easier to see. I'm just leaving the tip here, or the, I don't know, whatever you call that, alone for a bit. Okay, so I can see I'm not exactly even, and you'll see too. So you can see this side is here, this side comes out here, so I just have to remove that lump, and I can do that. I'm going to attempt to do this. It shouldn't take that much. It's looking better. So another way you can kind of see what's going on is to put the light on either side. That's a good way to see for normal neck carving as well. Some other good tools are this 5L25 curved, so it's a curved gouge, and then this, which is a I don't know, number 7 scoop or something. I'm not sure exactly what these are called, but these are great for doing this little area. You can really refine in here. So after this you can just go on with more sandpaper, but I'll just show you another thing. So the heel cap is almost final shape, but I shaped this and then the mahogany flares out pretty quick, so I want to remove a fair bit of this area just so this heel cap shape follows down a little bit further, and it will make this point easier to refine. So you might not be able to kind of catch that. So at least the first inch, so from here, keep that shape and then it can kind of flare out a little bit, but you can see the edge that this makes that file. It's very smooth. It's about a 400 or 600. When you get it in the with the grain at the right place. So this, looking down, the wood stays pretty clear. Another thing, so it's pretty flat here, and then it starts to curve out. So the first inch is pretty flat, and then curves out. And you can see this side. The mahogany stays, and then it starts flaring out about there, which is about an inch. I mean, whatever. If anyone wants to send me a cordless microphone, I will be very happy. Speed things up, I'm just going to use this. But with the rasp, you've got to remember that it leaves the grooves that it leaves. And so you have to kind of keep that in mind. You can't work up exactly to the point where you want to stop, because you've got to go further and remove these scratch marks or rasp marks. So you've got to stop in time. So the last little part that I'm going to do is put a little bevel on the heel cap. It's kind of a little bit sketchy doing that with a file, even a sharp razor file, so I just sand it. Sometimes I do it so much that I reveal the black-white purfling underneath. It looks nice, but if I do that on this is like a standard sort of sized little heel cap. It's running the risk of it becoming too small when looking straight down on it, so I'm not going to do it. Just use your fingertips to find any lumps that need to come out. Now I'm starting to work on the point. If you turn your wrist like this. You see that? Now, the major problem that you'll face when making your first few necks is you're gonna dip in here, and you'll run the risk of making this area here shallow. So, looking at this neck, when you're carving here, you don't want to carve like a hollow in there, right? Making this all strains, and then you've got to fix it up by thinning the neck here. It's a bit of a disaster. So just be very mindful of leaving this center line visible and this not going any deeper. And if I show you this angle, you can see that I haven't done that. So that's the wrong way for that piece of wood with this file. And that's the right way. See how nice that is? Another thing to remember is the center line of the heel cap is dictated by the center line of the back. Sometimes I've, glued the back on, about, I don't know, 230, maybe not 230 seconds, just a little bit off from the mold. Or actually, no, that's not right. Well, that I'm sure I've done that before as well, but it's more about where you route the tenon or the mortise and tenon into the body of the guitar or uke, and sometimes you get that a little bit off, and then all this is kind of not exactly centered. But what you can do is you just work this over a little bit. So technically this might go out this way, exaggerating, but it's not perceptible. So just another kind of thing. But if you put the heel cap in the middle of the neck, but the middle of the neck isn't aligned with the middle of the back, it looks crap. So you'll be able to see a nice line. So redirect the camera a bit. Actually, I'll show you what I'm doing here. So looking down, So that line should be nice. So I'm just working this, see how it bulges out a little bit here. So I'm just going to be working that just a touch. It's a bit hard holding this, but that is very, very close. And I mean, no one looks at a guitar like that anyway, but so that's pretty much it, I think. You can see this, maybe if I have different light, you can see that this heel is forming a symmetrical diamond, or shape. That comes in handy, so use that. So that's about it. So you can see the flat area here. I'm going to keep that. I've taken a little bit closer on this side, but I'll just fair that little edge in, and then it's very nice. So that's it. I hope that was of some use. This is the first one I've done. First heel cap like this I've done. First heel I've done like this in about 5 years.